Hello and welcome back to Biohacking with Brittany. I am so excited that you are listening to the podcast today. If you are watching this video, I just did a workout and I am recording this in a hoodie and no makeup. And yeah, just wanted to hop on here because honestly, I think of my favorite podcasts and my favorite creators, and I could care less honestly about what they look like or what they're wearing or anything like that. It's way more about the content and the relatability of them. And so I have an hour before I have my kid, and sometimes you just got to show up on the mic and get it done. And that's what we are doing today. That is the life of a mom and a entrepreneur. So I do want to just a shout out to this hoodie. This is a 100% organic black hoodie. When I tell you that I have searched high and low for the perfect black hoodie, I am not kidding. This one is from a company called Colorful Standard. They're out of Europe. I think they're out of the UK. And I am switching all of my clothing to be organic cotton, bamboo, linen, natural fibers completely. And now I literally will not buy a single thing that does not fit into that category. And so in today's episode, I am going to be talking about my travels and things like that. Before we left for that trip, I was like, I need one single hoodie to bring with me. I want it black, plain, super comfy, big, oversized, and it took a long time to find exactly what I was looking for. And Colorful Standard does that. They make everything for every single color, which is really cool. So say you're looking for like black shorts or a pure yellow hoodie or whatever specific color that you're looking for, that's what they do. They take single solid colors and they make everything out of that single solid color, and everything is organic cotton. And I am happy to say that it's great. And it literally took me across the world, and I'm wearing it today. And so it's perfect timing for that. I wish I was an affiliate with them. I'm not, but this is just like a shout out. So I will probably order from them again because the quality is there. And I actually think I'm going to order for my husband as well. Okay. In today's episode, this is a Q&A episode. I am diving into my travels finally. Oh my gosh. And I'm answering some of your peptide questions that I've been getting. So this is like a mix of everything that's in my world right now. And I just want to give you as much value as I can. The peptide questions are pulled from directly from my DMs, like literally the 3 peptide questions I've gotten in the last, like, I don't know, 48 hours. And if you have any questions, please hit me up at Biohacking Brittany. I will be happy to answer them as best as I can. I usually do a lot of voice notes to people because it's easier. And I have officially opened up my page for one-on-one consults in terms of peptides and longevity for women. And I've already had 3 women book. This is something I've been doing unofficially, I guess, like without really promoting it or without even having a website for it. And now it's something that is out and live and you can book. And the way that it's structured is so simple. I wanted to keep it really easy and real for you. So you can book a initial consult with me, which includes a full protocol. And the protocol is peptides, nutrition, lifestyle, and biohacks for everything that you're going through and what you're trying to solve. And for the peptides, it would include your exact stack, how much dosages, what to titrate, everything for the next 3 months. And then there's a follow-up call you can book as well. And if you want to do the initial and the follow-up together, you get a discount, and that is on my website as well. I do free 15-minute discovery calls. Go ahead, feel free to book one if you're like, yeah, I need support. And a common thing I'm seeing now with women is they're excited about peptides and they order a bunch, and then they arrive and then they don't know what to do. And so I can help you with that. I can help you with exactly what to take, what to start with, when to stop, when to take them, how to even mix them with a bacteriostatic water, and everything along the lines of that. So there's so much there for you. And I just wanted to create a service that was really specific for women in that way. Based on longevity, peptides is one of the tools that I use to promote longevity for women. Okay. And I have released my sources. Okay. So this is something I went back and forth on, but decided that it made more sense for me to do it this way. So if you are looking for the peptide companies that I use, you can go to, I'll link it in the show notes of this episode. It's linked in my bio on Instagram, on TikTok. It's on my website, like right away. If you go to hackingbrittany.com, the first thing that pops up, you will see it will say, like, get my sources, and you just put your email in, and literally, I email you all my sources for USA, Canada, and global. And the US company is one of my favorites. I really, really like them. I've met with the founders multiple times. We're actually doing a collaboration on a product together, hopefully. And then I have my Canadian source, and my Canadian source is great because they don't charge any extra shipping or any extra duties because they actually have a Canadian warehouse. So, all my Canadians listening to this, if you're like me, seriously order from them because you don't want to be going through the border and paying extra, which is the reality for so many peptide companies that you can order from. So go through this Canadian source, save your money. And they just increased my discount for you. So it's now 15% off everything, which is huge. And I really recommend doing that as well. The the USA company, I love. If you're in the States listening to this, I know most of my viewers, my audience is in the States. I really like them. I think the discount code is 20% off. This company is 25%, no, 25 times more tested than the average peptide company on the market. They do so much testing. I've met with the founders and honestly, I couldn't recommend them more. So check them out. If you're outside of the US and Canada, the Canadian company I recommend is now open globally, so you could use them and they ship to Europe, Australia, New Zealand, everywhere like that. And then I also have another global one as well, but my Canadian one is my preference for sure. Topical, if you are interested in topical, there's a different company I recommend that ships globally. The way that they do their peptides is like it's made for topical, so you'll get the powders and you can add like hyaluronic acid to it right in the little container of it and then use it topically. It's much it would be way harder to make topical peptides out of ordering from a typical peptide website, if that makes sense. So I do have some topical ones and references and sources, and then I have one oral source as well. So all my mamas who are potentially still breastfeeding, if you are wanting to try and you're thinking, okay, I'm going to do oral only, you can use my oral source. That is what I would do. So those are my recommendations. Literally, it's not gate kept. You just have to go on my website and get it. All my discount codes are there. I have discounts for every single one so that you can save. And yeah, I am so excited to be able to help people in that way. Okay, let's dive in to, oh my gosh, the reality of travel. Okay, so I think for everyone who's new in my community, you might not know this, but I traveled for the winter this year with my son and my husband, and my mom joined us for a while. And we went through 4 different countries. So we did Panama in December, Nicaragua in January, Costa Rica in February, and Mexico in March, roughly. Each one we did about a month. And I want to unpack this a bit because I have got questions of which one did you like? Which one should I go to? What was the cost of living? What's the cost of schooling, nannies, food? What actually makes sense? So I have all the numbers for you. I grabbed everything so that we could actually compare prices. But I do also want to speak authentically to all of them because I have now lived in all of them for a month. So the first one I'm going to start with Nicaragua. And this, Nicaragua. Okay. So we spent a full month in Nicaragua, and if you don't follow my Instagram account, please do so. If you go back and look at all my content from that time, it has such a special place in my heart. And I had someone on my podcast in the fall. Actually, it was one of the founders of Higher Dose, which is a red light therapy company. Lauren, and she said to me, because she spends her winters in South Africa, which I'm actually from South Africa, so we had a lot to talk about. But she said to me, like, as an entrepreneur, you have to live somewhere that you're inspired by. And I always remember that. And it's so interesting because when I was in Nicaragua, the amount of content that I created was probably double what I'm producing right now. And only because, well, there's probably a couple of reasons to that, but one of the biggest reasons was I was so inspired when I was there. It was Nicaragua. So all the places are in Central America. I guess Mexico is technically North America, but Nicaragua is raw and underdeveloped and is a developing country. We don't say third world anymore, right? Like that whole terminology is no longer relevant. So it's a developing country and it's hard for me to even put into words and I'm just smiling on camera because it's so special. So let me try to describe it to you if you haven't been. They just built a highway from the top of Nicaragua all the way down, connecting Guatemala and Costa Rica below it. I think it's Guatemala, or is it El Salvador? I think it's Guatemala. And they are still connecting this highway. Okay. So we're driving on this highway in our 4x4 vehicle that we had, that we rented. And when I tell you that there's no one on the highway, like literally, like no one on the highway. Like there were horses on the highway, there were dogs on the side, there were people with their ox and cart. And when I say raw, I mean raw. Like it is like, whoa. And there is actually so much beauty in that. Like, I don't think I've ever felt the sense of freedom that I felt in Nicaragua anywhere else in my entire life. There's no one there who's like tracking your speed limit. There's no one there checking that your kid's in a car seat. And it actually doesn't even matter. You don't even really need those things because there's no traffic, there's no stoplights, there's nowhere to speed to, there's no rush. Like there's literally no rush. The way that Nicaragua and actually a lot of Central America in general is like you just go with the flow. It is a completely different mentality than North America. It is a breath of fresh air. Okay. And if I could, honestly, if I could do another retreat, it would probably be in Nicaragua because of that. You don't worry about car accidents because there are no other cars on the road. Like, you know what I mean? Like when you're driving in San Juan del Sur, sure, there's other cars, but you're driving at like 25 kilometers an hour. You're driving slow because there's like all sorts of things on the road. There's nowhere to be. There's no rush. Like it's just a completely different way of living. It's a completely different way of living. And it's a beautiful way of living. And it was so good for my nervous system. So we rented a house and we rented a full house, which came with a cleaner, two cleaners actually, who came daily except for Sundays. We hired a cook and the cook was $25 a day US to cook us dinner. And she actually offered to do breakfast as well. And like looking back, I don't know why we didn't do it. But $25 to cook the food, which didn't include groceries, okay? And that was cooking for three adults and a toddler. So let's say four people. And this is a professional cook. Like she sent me, her name's Feli, shout out to Feli. She sent me her full menu of like, hey, what do you want me to cook? And I was like, okay, we try to be gluten free. We try to be as nutrient dense as possible. Can you buy organic produce? All of those things. And she followed all of it. She was an excellent cook, guys. This is not somebody who's like, let me make some eggs and toast for you, or like, here's pasta every night. It was like, she was top tier, incredible. And I miss her every day. It makes me sad because she was so good. Oh my gosh. And it was such a beautiful, we were so lucky to have her. And she would drive to our house on this cliff in San Juan del Sur on her motorbike with the groceries. She did the grocery shopping for us. We paid for the groceries. We would tip her every week, obviously. And it was incredible. And let me tell you what that did for us, okay? We had my mom with us, who was our childcare, who was traveling with us at this time. This was for January. And at the end of the day, say you finish work around 4 or 5, whatever it is, you don't have to cook. And so you have this gap of time from 5 until, I don't know, 6:30 that you're eating at, where you're like, oh, what do I do with myself? Do I just work more? Oh, wait a minute. I'm in Nicaragua. Why the heck would I spend more time on my computer? And so we would literally go surfing at the end of the day. Like we would go to the beach. And our favorite beach is Madeiras. I have all of like the photos that you see of me on the beach is at that beach, by the way, is at Madeiras. And it was incredible. Like we would surf Madeiras or Remanzo, which is like more of a beginner beach. Like that's where I would surf more. It was easier for me to get up on the board there. But we would go to the beach and it was incredible. And you watch the sunset. And what I loved about Central America and even Mexico in general is because they're so close to the equator, the sunrise and sunset is basically the same all year round. So that is so good for your circadian rhythm. And it was so easy. And my son would go to sleep earlier, which was nice. And it was dark by 7 p.m. Like right now in Canada, it's June. We're coming up to the longest day of the year. It's literally bright outside until like 9:30, almost 10 p.m. right now. And putting my kid to bed is like, oh my gosh, why am I going to bed when it's so bright outside, right? And it's also bright in the morning, which is great, but there is something to be said about having a regular circadian rhythm like that I loved, loved, loved. So, best parts about Nicaragua was the prices were amazing for everything. Like so cheap, cheaper than Costa Rica, cheapest out of the 4 countries we went to, Panama, Costa Rica, and Mexico, the cheapest by far. And so the stats that I have that I pulled up is a single person living comfortably could be cost of living is about $1,500 a month. And that means eating well and going out. A gardener, if you need a gardener, is $100 a month. And where's the nanny on here? The nanny, if you want a full-time nanny, 40 hours a week, 250 US a month. A month. You do not pay that in Canada. Canada right now, if you want a full-time nanny, 40 hours a week, holy, you're looking at probably 3,000 Canadian a month, I would say. Maybe even more, probably even more than that. And then if you have an au pair, like an international person, even more. Yeah, so much more. Okay. If you eat food out, a local meal is about $4. All these prices are in USD, by the way. $4 gallo pinto, chicken, plantains. Mid-range dinner, if you're going out, is about $28 for two. Yeah, that's what we paid. Food was incredible. Okay. And I talked about this the other day on a community call that I had with the Longer Life Women's Peptide and Longevity community. The food, the meat is all grass-fed there. Like when you buy beef in Nicaragua, it's from Nicaragua and it's grass-fed. When I went to Costa Rica and I was like, I found a butcher in Jaco and I was like, hey, I'm looking for grass-fed beef. And they said to me, oh, okay, here it is. I look in the freezer section and I recognize the brand names. And I go, hey, I recognize this. Where's this from? And they go, oh, it's from Nicaragua. Literally, Costa Rica imports their grass-fed beef from Nicaragua. Okay. And then obviously you're paying more for that. It was so affordable, so easy to find. And that's because that's all they know. Like there is no monocropping. There is no pesticides. I'm sure there are pesticides in some things that you buy there, but the farming is still at this level of like regenerative farming, local farming, that it was amazing. So nutrient dense. The best watermelon I've ever had in my life. You literally are eating the fruit from the land that it's picked from whatever, a 5-10 kilometer radius from where you're sitting in San Juan del Sur. It is so nutrient dense. I can't even talk more about it. And it's so fresh. Like my mom, everyone said that. It's so fresh because it's picked off of the vine, off of the tree when it's actually ready to be picked. It's not bananas that are picked super green that then ripen when they're in the truck traveling from Mexico to Canada, right? Which is what happens a lot of the time. So, so good. Like It was the best. It was so good. Healthcare would be something that we didn't have to experience, thankfully. You could go to Managua, which is the capital of Nicaragua, if you are for birth or surgery or anything like that. We didn't have anything happen that, so this wasn't really an issue. My mom had actually in Nicaragua, my mom had a tooth issue that happened. I forget what happened. Oh, she chipped her tooth, I think. Oh no, sorry. One of her fillings came out and she went to a dentist there and she said it was excellent service. They charged her like $100 to fix her tooth and it would have been triple the cost to do that in Canada. Schooling is amazing. So there are in San Juan del Sur, there are private schools, and there is the one school that we really like is called Tambran. It is a new school that has started. It is the campus is beautiful. It is private. It's got Scandinavian inspired. So it's the architecture is incredible. It's all like outdoor play. There's a wellness room. The teacher to kid ratio is incredible. And it is ideally where we're hoping to go and spend this winter, maybe like next winter there and send Callahan there. The schooling cost of, I only know for Callahan's age. So they opened up a classroom for 2-3, age 2-3, which is preschool, and it's half days, 8:30 to 12:30 a.m. And the cost for when I calculated it, it was for a full year, which we would not be there for a full year. For a full year, including fees, including their snack in the morning, I think it was like 5,000 Canadian for a full year. And I think a full year is actually 10 months. So 5,000 Canadian. That is half of what it would cost in Huntsville to send my kid to Montessori here. That is a fraction of what it would cost to send him to that level of private school, right? Like private school in Canada is very expensive, same with the US, and $5,000 a year is easy to do and for the level of education, right? Of this school has 20 different nationalities of families who go there, right? And think about the robust learning environment that is for a child versus sending them to a local school, local public school in Canada and dealing with the Canadian curriculum, which I'm not a fan of, and them being in a classroom of like one of 28 with a teacher and a teacher's assistant does not sound like something that I would want to do. So the schooling in Nicaragua is great if you can live close to the great private schools. And I feel like that's a lot like very similar with other places too. Costa Rica has way more schools. They have way more, they have a ton of Montessori. They have some Waldorf. They have lots of private schools. It's very different. But Nicaragua is up and coming for sure. You can rent there, obviously. So what we did when we rented in all of these places was that I went through Airbnb, and if you click more than 28 nights in a place, a lot of places will give you a discount, and that is how I did mine. So I saved on our Airbnb rent every single time because we stayed there for a minimum of 28 nights. So that gave us more leeway to pick where we wanted to stay because of the price drop. We are looking at going back to Nicaragua this upcoming winter. Is my dream is to go from January to May of 2027. And there we have found some cheaper rentals. There's like a 3-bedroom we could rent that's like $2,500 US a month. And it has a pool and it's a house, which we could do. When we went in January of this year, we rented a full house. It was much bigger. I think there were 5 bedrooms, 4 or 5 bedrooms. My mom was with us, different situation. This time it'll just be the three of us. And Callahan will go to Tambran school half the day, and then we will get like a nanny for the other half who will stay in the house with him. So renting is possible, buying is possible as well. It is the cheapest place to buy out of everywhere that I went. The thing with buying internationally is that it really ties up your money. So the average house in Nicaragua stays on the market for 2 years, which is a long time. So if you need to sell your house quickly and you need the cash, it doesn't happen in Nicaragua, right? Like your money is sitting there and it's committed. So there's that. And then there's obviously with Nicaragua specifically, there is the political unrest that happens. So they have their dictator who has been in power for quite some time. He is getting older. Hopefully, that is not an issue for that much longer. Apparently, his wife is worse than he is. This is just local, what I hear. And he has done some pretty horrific things. I think he exiled all of the popes and from Nicaragua and the priests. So they went down to Costa Rica. There's no more Bibles in the hotels, like just crazy religious things like that. And there's definitely political unrest. So that's the other negative side of Nicaragua is that, especially if you put money into it and you're buying into a place that's potentially has turmoil in it. Now, the reason that things are so cheap and you can save so much money is arguably part of that is the reason is like not many people travel there, right? So it's like give and take in that way. I don't think we will buy anytime soon. There is a house that we love right now, but I don't think we're going to get it. And I think we will be renting and we'll see how we go in terms of there. Our goal is to spend every winter in Nicaragua over time and invest, and we'll see what happens. And that is our long-term goal. If you're listening to this and you're like, oh my gosh, I want to go to Nicaragua, the best resort for you to go to is called Tree Casa. I've been there. I've been in Nicaragua twice now. We've been there both times. We know the owners, or not the owners. We know the managers. The owners are actually out of California. I've never met them, but Tree Casa is incredible. It's beautiful. It's the nicest resort in San Juan del Sur, and the surfing is incredible. I can hook you up with cleaners, cooks, surf guides, photographers. I know so many people there now. So let me know and I will send you in the right direction if you're looking for business or for services. Okay, so that all being said, Nicaragua is my number one. It was incredible. The cost of living is so low. The quality is so high. The food quality is so high. It's beautiful. Best sunsets I've ever seen. And the people are so nice. The school that Callahan could go to is the best I've ever seen as well. The only negative side is the political part, access to healthcare, if you need it, and the flights. So there are no nonstop flights from Toronto, but there are flights from Miami and Houston. So just getting to Miami or Houston, then you can fly directly into Managua. Okay, let's move on to Panama quickly. So we went to Panama in December, and Panama was for my husband's parents wanted to rent a place. So we did Christmas with them, and my brother-in-law and his wife and his kids were there too. So very different setup. We had a beautiful, beautiful house on the beach. Oh my God, it was huge because think about it. There were 6 adults and 3 kids. It was huge. We had a cook. But let me tell you that Panama house that we had was very expensive. And we were there over Christmas and New Year's. So obviously, like, there's that too, like, which is why it was probably more expensive. But it was, oh my gosh, probably 4 times the amount that we paid for the house that we paid for in Nicaragua. So Panama, I found that it was very busy. When you fly into Panama City is like a hub. It's a full business hub. There's skyscrapers. It's huge. The traffic is bumper to bumper to bumper. Like it was so busy, but it was cool. Beautiful restaurants, lots to see, lots to do. We saw the Panama Canal. We stayed in a little beach town that was like, I don't know, 2 hours outside of Panama. And it was beautiful, beautiful beach. Oh, it was so nice. No surfing where we were, very flat, but great for swimming and stunning. And yeah, it was awesome. So excellent private hospitals in Panama. I think that's why there's so many expats there or retirees there is like there is really great healthcare in Panama and you can do all the surgeries you want to do and for way cheaper than you would in the States or even Canada if you're going private. They have solid international schools. Most of them are in Panama City. But Panama City, like, I think it's about 2 million people, right? Like you have to understand that you're going to a city. You're not going to a chill surfer town, laid back. So you have to be okay with traffic and people and everything and pollution even that comes with. You can fly directly from Toronto to Panama City and yeah. What else can I say about Panama? I loved, what did I love? There's a lot of money in Panama. And it also could have been the area that we were in, but you could definitely see that there's a lot of people who've invested in really nice beach houses there. The food was really great too. I think the food was honestly great everywhere we were in Central America. It's local, it's fresh. Like I said, picked right off when it's ripe. Very different situation than what we deal with here in Canada. Would I ever live in Panama? No. Would I ever go back to Panama? No. It just wasn't for us. It was too it was too city vibes in Panama City. Like, why would we travel for that when I can get that in Toronto? And it was Panama, like the beach towns that we were in were too sleepy. There was nothing going on, not enough kids, too many retired people, just not our vibe in a way. And also, if we're going to be in a beach, we want to surf. We want to have the waves. We want to teach kids to surf. It's just part of our goals. And so it wasn't really for us. It wasn't adventurous enough for us. I think like that's what Panama comes down to. If you are looking for a place to retire and you just want to chill on a beach and read, yeah, great, go for it. Cost of living is, it wasn't as cheap, and it definitely wasn't as cheap. It was probably similar to Costa Rica, about the same. Costa Rica is expensive. Don't let anyone tell you differently. I'm going to get to that in a second. So you definitely need to have the funds to be able to go to Panama for sure. Okay, moving on. Let's get into Costa Rica. Where is my Costa Rica notes? Okay, I have been to Costa Rica 3 times. I got married in Costa Rica 3 years ago in Montezuma, which is a tiny little beach town, and we had a wonderful wedding. I hosted my Optimize Her longevity women's retreat in Costa Rica, and that was incredible. Like it was incredible, okay? It was it was honestly one of my highlights of this entire year was hosting that retreat. There's so much power to women and community coming in person. It's unlike anything you can do online. Like literally unlike anything you can do online. Like that you cannot get the transformations, the breakthroughs and the insights that come from in person online, no matter what, whether it's a podcast, YouTube, any platform, even my community that I have that's super cheap per month, like you can't. You just can't. It's not possible. The retreats are tears, breakthroughs, people saying things out loud that they've wanted to say out loud for 10 years. Like it's journaling, it's reflection, it's you arrived as person A and you're leaving as person B, this higher version of yourself. It was incredible. It was absolutely incredible. And I do want to do another retreat. I don't know if I'm going to do it anytime soon, but yeah, it was incredible. And so, Costa Rica, what do I think about Costa Rica? Now that I've been there 3 times in how many years? What year did we get married in? 3 years ago, I guess. 3 times in 3 years. Okay. It's expensive and it's busy. It's like Costa Rica was like this really cool secret, and then everybody found out about it. And now you go there and it's basically in Mexico, and you're just like, why am I here? That is in a gist what Costa Rica is. Yes, it's beautiful. Oh my gosh, it's beautiful. The biodiversity is incredible. Like, I remember walking to the gym in the morning, and you walk past like plants and trees, and you look and you're seeing like 50 different ones all in this like tiny, like 5 minute walk that you're doing. You don't get that in Canada. You don't get that level of biodiversity here. It's very lush. It's way more lush than Nicaragua. Nicaragua is more dry, 100%. Okay. It's beautiful, but it's more dry. And Costa Rica, whether it's because of the mountains, I think the mountain ranges with the ocean, it is more moist. It has a higher humidity level. I love humidity. I love humidity. Okay. And the biodiversity was incredible to see. Plants, animals, birds, all of it. It is just expensive. So when we were in Costa Rica, we rented a townhouse. Okay. A townhouse that was one, two, three. It was 3 bedroom townhouse. We didn't have our own pool, and it was more expensive than the full house we rented in Nicaragua. That was 4 bedrooms that came with a cleaner that had its own pool and had ocean views. It was devastating. And so what was interesting in Costa Rica, so we went Panama, right, where we had all the family and we had the cook and we had the cleaner. Then we went to Nicaragua where it was super affordable and we had a cook, we had a cleaner. Then we went to Costa Rica and we had no cook and no cleaner and a town. And it was so interesting in that month because after my retreat, we were there and it was like, wow, we surfed once in a month because we were working and then we had to keep the place clean. We had to cook every night. And it really chipped away at our actual like living time and our family time. And so it was a little sad to be honest in that way. But yeah, I don't know. I can see why so many people go to Costa Rica because it's cool and it's trendy and you can surf. But man, is it expensive and it's busy. Like there's traffic. We were in Jaco. I've been to multiple cities and places in Costa Rica. It's busy. Like restaurants are full. The traffic, the finding parking, the hotels, like it's busy. Like it's not this little country no one goes to anymore. Like it's it's wild. And even in the 3 years, like the difference of the 3 years of when I went 3 years ago for my wedding, actually we even went before that. My first time it was less busy than that than it is now. So in terms of what you're paying, rent in Tamarindo is like 2,300 a month for a 2 bedroom. That's US. That's average. Guanacaste could be between 1,500 to 3,000 for a furnished place and pool and security. Nosara, you're paying way more than that. Way more than that. A nanny, you're looking at $200 to $500 a week around San Jose. And if they speak English, you're paying more for that as well. And so you can see already that's what, 4 times the price that what you would pay in Nicaragua for a month. Healthcare is better. There is incredible healthcare in Costa Rica. Absolutely. I went to a functional medicine clinic in Jaco and I got my first stack of peptides. Not my first stack. I got a stack of peptides from him and I did the salmon sperm facial in Jaco in Costa Rica. It was a fraction of what I would have paid for that facial in Canada. Peptides were honestly more expensive than what I would have paid in Canada. So that was interesting, but it was great. We went to this gym. The gym was incredible. So many fit people, of course, and there was no AC in the gym. Have you ever worked out in a gym with no AC? Yeah. So we would go in the morning at like 7:30 in the morning because it was so hot. And but in terms of heat and Panama, Nicaragua, Costa Rica are all the same with weather. Super hot. Windy season is January, February, March, and there is a lot of heat, a lot of humidity. And in terms of like temperatures, you're looking at, I don't know, 28, 30, 32, something like that. And little to no rain. There was quite a bit of rain in December when we were in Panama coming out of the rainy season. Schooling, there are a lot of international private schools in Costa Rica. They are way more expensive. I've heard some are good and some are bad. So really do your research if that's something that you need to look into because some of them are not great because they've gotten to a point where I think, and the only reason I know this is because I met a teacher in Nicaragua who used to teach in Costa Rica. And she said to me that it's just become like the States, like all they care about is making more money. So they admit more students and that type of thing. So it's lost its, I don't know, way a bit, some of the schools, some of the most well-known private schools. Do your research. If I were you, I would join the Facebook groups. That's where like the most honest reviews are, really, because there's a lot of parents in there. And that's where you're sharing, like, oh, my kid did this, my kid did that. That doesn't really happen on TikTok or Instagram or anywhere else. So Facebook groups are really great for that. Food access, again, really great in terms of veggies and fruit, super fresh. like I said, the grass-fed beef came from Nicaragua, so I don't know what that says. And what else? Yeah, it was really beautiful though. I did really like it. The car rental, so expensive. So we paid in Nicaragua. Oh my gosh, what did we pay? So Nicaragua, we got a something similar to a Prado. I don't know if like people in North America know what that is, but I think it's a Toyota Prado. I don't even know if I'm getting that right. My husband typically handles car rentals, clearly. It's like a six-seater full size SUV that has four-wheel drive because you need that, right? In Nicaragua, we put myself on the insurance as well. So my husband and me were on the insurance, and that was for a full month. In Costa Rica, we got a smaller car, like the size of a Tucson. And so, like, it sat five people, right? Like, there was only two rows. And I did not put myself on the insurance. And only my husband drove the car. I did too, but I just wasn't insured. But it was more expensive than what we paid for a full size SUV and six-seater and for me to be on the insurance in Nicaragua. So outrageous. And so yeah, the car is just so much more expensive in Costa Rica than it is anywhere else. My son has joined me, so I had to turn my camera off on this recording. I so in general with Costa Rica, like I would say that everything works, but you pay for it, right? And so I think a lot of people who like comfort tend to go to Costa Rica, who like their access to steakhouses and everything that's like yummy and accessible healthcare and paved roads. Not that there's paved roads everywhere, but it's it's definitely more geared towards North America like that versus Nicaragua, which is way more authentic to themselves in a way, if that makes sense. A lot of people say Nicaragua is like Costa Rica 20 years ago, and will Nicaragua be like Costa Rica in 20 years is the question. So maybe it does make sense to invest there, but you're thinking very, very long term with that type of investment. Okay, last but not least is Mexico. Now, we stayed in Puerto Aventuras, which is a gated community, and it is on the, what side is it on? It is on the east side. And so there were no waves at the beach. It was on the Caribbean side. It was very flat. Now, I had high hopes for Mexico for this situation, okay? I heard that like price wise, it was going to be more closer to Nicaragua and that we would have access to everything and I could drive a golf cart and send my kids to school and all that type of stuff. When we got there, and I have multiple friends who live in Puerto Aventuras, which is odd, but yes, anyway, when we got there, I was let down immediately. So it was it's just very geared towards retired people. So everyone drives their golf cart to the beach or the bars, and there were the dolphins, and there's a golf course. And again, it like lacked this sense of adventure that we are really looking for. I would not, I would not go back to Mexico, and I have been there before when I was younger, and it was just a little yeah, disappointing. We paid for a cook in Mexico and she did lunch and dinner for us, and it was so expensive. And the food was like basic. It was basic, like smoothies and nothing compared to the professional cook that we had in Nicaragua. And she was way more expensive. We didn't rent a car because it was too expensive to rent a car. We just couldn't justify it. And so we were outside of Tulum. We did go to Tulum. And honestly, we I should have gone to Tulum Beach maybe, but I don't know. My personal feeling with Mexico is that it's so busy. Everyone goes there. So the airports are crazy. There's people everywhere, traffic. It's expensive. It's not as cheap as it used to be. And it's also not as safe. And people will say, "Oh, I'm so safe in Mexico." I we were safe in our gated community, but I don't know. I felt the least safe out of the four countries when I was in Mexico and then Costa Rica and then Panama, and then Nicaragua, probably in that order. There's just things that happen. You hear about shootings on the side of the road, et cetera, et cetera. There's a lot of people missing. There's a lot of gangs. There's like, that's the reality of Mexico. That's what it is. Like that's what's going on down there. There's a lot of drugs that move through Mexico, and anyone who tells you otherwise is just like lying to you. It's actually what it is. Like it is. It's what they're known for, and they're known for that for a good reason. There is private healthcare there that you can look into, and a lot of people fly to Mexico, right? Because it's cheaper for surgeries and specific things than Canada or than the US where you're paying out of pocket. You can fly directly. That was the best thing about Mexico. Toronto to Mexico, Cancun, nonstop, so easy, multiple flights. Yeah, super, super easy. Pretty good food access. The food was, yeah, the produce was pretty fresh. Whether you went to like the local market or local food market, farmers market, or store. I didn't find a lot of grass-fed meat. I didn't find a lot of organic meat or anything like that. So that was interesting. And what else can I say? The nannies, I think, are cheap like Nicaragua. So what I found online said like full-time can start from 200 to 300 a month, which is, but if they speak English, it's more. And that is about that's like similar to what you would pay in Nicaragua. Schooling, there is Montessori, Waldorf. I heard mixed things about the schools in Puerto Aventuras. So some people are doing like group schooling where they send their kids to a home and there's one person who's teaching this group of kids. And that makes sense as well. But again, it comes down to lifestyle. Like the lifestyle of Mexico is not for us. We're looking for freedom, adventure, surfing, very, very affordable, high-end private schools, and extremely healthy lifestyle, right? Like at the end of the day, what are we trading Canada for? It's like, okay, I want to live somewhere healthier. And so that is, I can turn my video back on. That is like what we're looking for is how healthy can I live in one of these countries? And so when health is your number one value, that's how you grade and look at everything. So I hope this helps. I feel like looking at these prices here, I made a chart. So Nicaragua is the cheapest in terms of rent. Same with the nanny. Healthcare is the weakest in Nicaragua, though. Best healthcare is Panama and Costa Rica. Schooling is great in Nicaragua for the couple of schools that we know. And then, do you want to say it on the mic? Okay, this is Callahan. Can you say Nicaragua?
Water.
Say Nicaragua. Yes. And so that is my quick comparison. We will be spending our winters in Nicaragua. We're just figuring out how to make it work. All right, now let's get into your questions. There's so many peptide questions. I can't wait to start answering these. Okay, so now on to the questions for the podcast, for you guys. The peptide questions. Okay, here we go. So the first one, these, like I said, are from DMs that I have been getting. This one says, this is from a woman, and she wrote, I tore my ACL and I am having surgery on it today. I currently have the Wolverine blend 2020 mixed with 1 ml of backwater. How much do I take daily or once a week? I've heard both. Okay, let's unpack this. So first of all, so sorry about your ACL tearing. That's terrible. And the surgery sounds intense. With that, the peptides that you're taking right now, the Wolverine blend is really smart and it will help a lot. So you can actually take more than, which I'll get to in a second, you can take more than the basic dosage of somebody who might be healing a, a painful shoulder or something like that after hurting it in the gym. Like you are healing from surgery and a tear, and that's much more substantial. So you can take more than the daily dose. So with the Wolverine blend, that is the combined vial of the BPC-157 and the TB-500 in the 2020. That means there's 20 mgs of BPC and there's 20 mgs of TB in that single one vial. You reconstituted it with 1 ml of bacteriostatic water, and that's actually quite a concentrated mix. Most people would add 2 mils to that rather than just the 1 mil, which you did, which you could always add more, right? With bacteriostatic water, you can always dilute it more. You can never take it out. So that's okay that you are like that. The math is pretty simple when you're trying to figure this out. So the total peptide divided by the water volume equals the concentration. And then the desired dose divided by that concentration is how much liquid to actually draw in your syringe. There are calculators online to help you do this. I have a calculator in my community that you literally just put in everything I just said. How much of the peptide is in the vial? How big is the vial? How much bacteriostatic water are you adding? And then what is your ideal dose? And it calculates everything for you of how much to mix it for and how much to pull in your syringe every single day. I use calculators all the time. Literally use a peptide calculator. That is the sure way to know and check what you're doing. The takeaway here is that at 20 mgs per 1 mil, every tiny fraction of a unit is a really big dose, which is exactly why how much is not a number that I would just throw out. It's actually more of maybe I would dilute it more, and then we can talk about your dosing more specifically. Why you're hearing both, or if you're doing your research online, like take it weekly, take it daily, is because it is the blend of these two peptides, which when they are separate, they're taken differently. So for BPC-157, it has a very different half-life than TB-500. BPC-157 has a short plasma half-life, literally hours. So that is why people take it more often, and people typically take it in morning and night. When I was taking BPC-157, I was taking it morning and night, and I was doing a low dose of about 250 micrograms in the morning and at night. It is short lasting in the body. We always want to keep the BPC levels steady. And so that's why people take it twice a day. And it's typically for 8 weeks, depending what you're healing, could even be 12 weeks. TB-500, on the other hand, is different. It is much more longer acting. The tissue effects outlast the blood levels. And the patterns usually involve a loading phase in the first 6 weeks at a couple of times a week, and then dropping to once a week. So the TB-500 stays in you longer than BPC-157. And that is why you're hearing daily, weekly, what should I take? In a blended vial, you can't separate them. Every draw gives you both, which is the built-in awkwardness of blends and a reason that I do not use blends myself, and I don't recommend them to anybody. I think if you are starting out on peptides, you should be taking singles of everything, and blends can come in later on when you know what you're doing, you understand your dosages, and it's more of a maintenance situation and a convenience situation than it is for something therapeutic like this, like surgery and healing from a tear. Now, what you need to do, because you already bought the Wolverine blend and you've mixed it, is you need to decide what is more important. Is the TB-500 or the BPC-157 more important for you? Typically, when people have blends, you pick one primary peptide out of it and you base your dosages off of that. So for you, honestly, they're both super important. TB is probably more important for you right now. So you need to base your dosaging off of that. Once you finish the Wolverine blend, which shouldn't be very long because you're going to be taking more than what is the average dose because you're healing from a surgery, buy them separately and dose them correctly, right? So dose it so that you're taking BPC morning and night, 500 micrograms morning and night, or even more, right? Like some people do 1,000, which is like a milligram. And then with the TB-500, you could do the 2.5 milligrams twice a week and continue on that level, or even more, right? Like people do way more again when they're healing from surgery. You have way more freedom and leverage, and you can get way more from your peptides when you're not using them in a blend. Okay. So I hope that helps you understand what the situation is there. If you go to actually, even in my community, again, you can look them up online as well. Find a blend calculator. You put in your primary. For you, it's probably TB-500. You would put that in, see what your dosages is, and then use it up and then order them separately here on out. Okay, next question. I loved this question. This was so interesting. So I posted this Instagram story about how I have started microdosing with psilocybin again. And I think I need to do a full podcast episode on this, but I had a few years ago, right around the time before I was getting married, I had a psilocybin journey, let's say, where I was microdosing for about 4 or 5 months, 4 days on, 3 days off type of thing. And in conjunction with therapy, like talk therapy. And I had a lot of insights that really came through in my life. And then I got pregnant and then I've been breastfeeding. And so I completely took a step back from microdosing psilocybin. And now obviously I'm not breastfeeding anymore and I have started taking it again. And then, by the way, the company that I use is that I love is actually, I have it here with me. Let me just show you if you're on camera quickly. This is like not an ad placement or anything, but this is Schedule 35. This is my favorite, absolute favorite. They deliver to Canada, US, everywhere. They make the best microdosing products that I've used. They make teas, chocolate, actual capsules that you can take, and all sorts of things. Like they have this starter pack you can see here, and they do really small, like microdoses. So you can do 100 milligrams, 200 milligrams, or even 500 milligrams. Now, I love them. You can use my discount code biohackingbrittany and you'll be able to save. And I strongly suggest you use that because it's obviously saving you. But this question came in. So I posted this Instagram story being like, I'm starting to microdose psilocybin again. And this person wrote in saying, oh, I thought you were taking Selank for your anxiety and stress. Like, why are you also microdosing psilocybin? And I was like, oh, that's such an interesting answer. Like, that's such an interesting question. So let's break that down for a second here. Selank is a 7 amino acid peptide. And if you've been listening to the show, you know this is one of arguably my favorite peptides out there. It made a huge difference in my life. It made a huge difference to me as a mother, as a wife, as an entrepreneur. It really changed the game for me. You can take it through injection, or you can also take it as a nasal spray or a nasal drop. I've done both. It acts as an annex, so by modulating the GABA pathways plus serotonin and dopamine pathways and slowing the breakdown of enkephalins. Okay. There's a lot of Russian clinical and preclinical work on this. It reduces anxiety comparable to benzos, which is pretty substantial, and it doesn't have any sedation, cognitive dulling, or dependence. This is a huge peptide for me, and it really, like I said, changed my life. It helped reduce my postpartum motherhood anxiety, stress. It reduced intrusive thoughts that I had that I didn't really realize, my over worrying. It really, wow, I wish I had started it sooner. And I will say that for forever. I wish I had started it sooner. And as I think about kid number two, I know that I on hand will have Selank nasal drops or spray with me so that I can take it even if I am breastfeeding to support my stress and anxiety levels. That is a personal choice I am making. I'm not recommending you do that. Everyone, especially if you're breastfeeding, you have to make your own choice there. But when you take something nasally like that, it is not systemic, right? Like it is not getting into the blood as it necessarily would, or your full body as you would as if you were to inject it. So, but it still gets you a lot of benefit, right? Like it's going through your sinuses, through the brain, and you're still getting the benefit there. And yes, when I did take it nasally, I did notice a difference. I would say I noticed a bigger difference for sure when I took it as an injectable peptide, but nasal still worked for me. Now, psilocybin on the other hand is a very different, okay? Especially when you microdose it. It is a classic serotonergic psychedelic, And there is strong clinical data for using it for depression, end of life anxiety, and very much a different feeling there. Now, I'm going to read you just a little bit on the science here that I looked up. So, Selank is a gentle, daily ish tool. And when I was taking it, I was doing it Monday to Friday. And now I do it as I need it. It is non psychoactive. It helps with calm and focus. And again, it's like benzo like profile in the research. Psilocybin is powerful, episodic, psychoactive intervention whose best evidence is for actually macrodosing it, not microdosing it with therapy. The way that I was thinking about this is that, and if you are looking at both of these or you're dealing with these symptoms, here's my recommendation. Selank for me made me feel more grounded and calmer and took away or quieted down the intrusive thoughts and the over worry that came with being a mom, being a first time mom. There's, yeah, that's a really good, like, in a nutshell. Okay. It took away the butterflies I had in my stomach, but like when they're bad though, when you have anxiety, like it got rid of that. I was able to like, whew, okay, I feel grounded. Psilocybin, when I microdose it, was different, right? Like psilocybin for me is a full body sensation. I feel like I go from being in my head to being in my body. It releases tension in my entire body. And it actually really helps with creativity. And Selank does not. When I microdose with psilocybin, what I notice is that I get new answers to problems that I'm dealing with. I notice that I have these thoughts that come through of solutions that maybe I didn't see before. And that is because of the neuroplasticity effect of psilocybin. The way that I like to describe psilocybin, it's also the same with ayahuasca or other psychedelics. There's two ways you can describe it. My favorite way is thinking about a kid who's tobogganing. So if you think about a mountain or a hill that has snow on it, okay, and you have a toboggan or a snowboard, whatever, and you're going down this hill and you're tobogganing and you're going down the same path again and again and again and again and again. And it's faster and you know it. And by the time you've done it 20 times, you're like, oh, this feels fun, great. I know where it's going to go. I know the curve it's going to take. I know where I'm going to end up at the bottom of the hill. What psilocybin does is it's this fresh blanket of snow that falls from the sky and covers the entire mountain and hill. And now you're standing at the top and you get to choose a brand new way to go down the mountain that you did not potentially see before. The other way I describe it is that imagine you have dots on a page. Picture a piece of paper. Okay, there's 20 dots on the page. And every day you connect the dots in the same way. Maybe you make a star, maybe you make a house or heart, whatever you're making. Okay, you take psilocybin. Now you're suddenly looking at those dots and you're connecting them in a brand new way that you've never connected them before. It's not that there's more dots or less dots. It's not that the dots have moved or changed. It's just the way that you process and see the information and see the dots is different. And that's exactly what psilocybin does. It takes all of your stimulus, everything that you're dealing with in your life. It doesn't change it. It just helps you see it in a different way. Selank, as the peptide, does not do any of that. There are no insights that come from Selank. There are no breakthroughs. There are no, wow, why didn't I think of that earlier? There's none of that. There's none of that. Psilocybin, that's what that does. It brings that in. And even yesterday, yesterday I microdosed with Schedule 35, their mango dragon fruit tea, and it's 200 milligrams per tea bag and a little bit of caffeine. So that's like more than a tiny little microdose, okay? And I had some insights come through and I can even share with you what I was thinking. So yeah, it was so interesting because I didn't really, I forgot that psilocybin does that. And it's not like you're sitting there and you're looking at the dots looking for a new pathway. It's just that it like comes in quietly. So yesterday I was walking to my sauna and I was thinking a lot about, wow, I should be producing more content on social media. And I like look at these other content creators and influencers that I know and I love what they're making. And I'm like, oh, I should do a reel on this. And I should do an Instagram carousel on that. And I should be doing 2 podcast episodes a week again. And like, blah, 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 like just trying to compete and be at other people's levels. That's how I've been feeling for a while. And I'm always writing down these ideas of like things that I need to do or things that I can copy from other people, but put my spin on them and trends and how it is. And I sometimes have this feeling of like, it's never enough. There's never enough posts. There's never enough content. Every week, every day, it's more content, more, more, more. Like you're constantly creating content to keep up. And it's overwhelming and it's exhausting. And the comparative game is really hard and can be really negative and can really cause you to spiral. And so this breakthrough came through yesterday. And literally, it was just like I was opening my sliding door, I was walking in my sauna, and this thought came through in my head that said, just be yourself. You are enough. The people who follow you don't need to see 10 longevity hacks that I don't like. Or I even wrote this down like, I tested every peptide and here are my favorites. I tested every biohack and here are the ones to skip, whatever. They actually don't necessarily need to see that. You don't need to worry about that. They just need to see you and your life. And this thought just came through of like, just be you. Don't worry about what other people are posting. Post what you're doing. Oh, you're going in the sauna, post about the sauna. You made food for the family for dinner and you like how healthy it is, post that. Oh, you changed your peptide stack, post that. And it was just this idea of like, you are enough. Like you're just be yourself. Don't worry about what everyone else is doing. And it sounds, maybe that sounds simple to the person who's listening to this episode, but when you microdose psilocybin, that will happen to you, whatever you're dealing with right now. You might have this problem in front of you and you're like, holy shit, how am I going to solve this? Like, I'm not making enough money right now. I need more money. How am I going to do this? I'm trying everything. It's not working. Microdose for psilocybin for 5 days and just be open to what will come through. That's the type of thing that peptides don't do. Peptides are not doing that. They're not changing the way you see things. They're not inspiring you. They're not going to create new neural pathways. That's not how they work, okay? So it's very different. Now, while microdosing psilocybin might be calming and help you feel better and reduce anxiety and stress, similar to Selank, there's a very deep level that psilocybin taps into that peptides don't. So my take is do both. And I said to this woman who sent me this message on Instagram, I said, okay, maybe I need to try both in a day. When I get my new replenishment of Selank, I'm going to try both and I'm going to see what happens. I don't know. I'm going to see. Yeah, I hope that like inspires you. And by the way, I do want to say this is that I know moms who are microdosing psilocybin postpartum, even breastfeeding. I'm not recommending it. I just want you to know that there are people out there who are doing that. Okay. If you feel like you, and I feel like I am now becoming an advocate for maternal mental health because of what I went through. If you are struggling, it might be the tool that you're missing to help you through this time. And I talked about this on an episode a long time ago with a woman, with a mom. And what she said to me, because I said, what about the moms who are breastfeeding? Like, can they do this? Even a little bit, like 50 milligrams. And she said to me, I would rather have my body introduce my kid to psilocybin in a gentle, tiny amount, if any of it even goes through breast milk, than for them to suddenly be introduced one day through whatever source that they might have. And I thought that was beautiful. So I just want you to know that there are communities out there, and there are even, oh my gosh, this could be a whole podcast episode, but there are even traditional communities out there that women use psilocybin, ayahuasca, whatever other DMT throughout pregnancy, throughout postpartum, and it's a part of their culture. So you are not the first woman in the world to do it. Trust me. You can even look it up. Look up the history of it in indigenous cultures, right? So I hope that gives you inspiration and tools. You could try both. Yeah, you could definitely try both. Okay, last question. GHK-Cu cream, is it effective? I love that you are making your own peptide serum. Would you ever consider making a GHK-Cu in a body cream? Would it still be effective? Okay, so this is very interesting. And I thought about this because I'm on the fence. So, first of all, yes, I'm making my own peptide serum. Yes, it is the best peptide serum on the market. Yes, because it has four different peptides in it that are super potent and it's not some bullshit. Here's a little bit of GHK-Cu. Oh, it's blue. I'm going to sell this to you and call it a peptide serum. And there's a bunch of chemicals in here and it's bad for you. No, that's not the situation here. Situation is I am somebody who is well versed in biohacking, longevity, and now peptides. And this is one avenue that I am bringing to serve my population and my audience. I'm not a L'Oreal skincare company that is jumping on a trend that I see about peptides. Okay. There is a wait list right now for my serum. I think there's 300 women on there, or people, I should say. Join it. I'm really hoping to bring it to market by the end of this year. I am also hoping to bring to market a serum for scars and stretch marks. This is arguably something I want to do right now because I have a C-section scar that I'm trying to not get rid of, but heal. So it's coming. Just get on that list. Everyone on the wait list will get a discount. There you go. Okay, now putting it into a body cream. So topical GHK-Cu, which is a copper tripeptide, is one of the most evidenced topical peptides out there. That's why you're seeing it everywhere. It's growing and people are talking about it. Okay. The thing is that it is more effective when it's combined with other modalities. Let me break it down. There's research that shows that when you do something like microneedling or using a microdermabrasion tool or a stamp, whatever it is, you're creating these little traumas to the skin. The copper peptide is more effective. There's also research that shows it's more effective when you use it with red light therapy. Something with how the copper blue pigment reacts with the red light in your skin. I talked about this on my skin episode. You should listen to it. It's a really great one. So, how the copper peptide works, taking a step back, is it binds copper to this tripeptide, right? So, the tripeptide is the glycyl histide and it penetrates the epidermis and it upregulates collagen synthesis and remodeling. Okay? Remodels the skin, helps with collagen synthesis. There are a lot of human trials on this actually. So, classic human trial, the GHK-Cu was applied to thigh skin for 12 weeks and improved collagen production in about 70% of women, outperforming both vitamin C and retinol acid creams. Now, there's other ones too, right? Like in fibroblast cultures, which is obviously like in a petri dish, type 1 collagen was up by 70%, type 3 was up by 50% at even low concentrations. So there's a lot of research on this. The catch, though, is that the cream, the catch with these in general, and this is what I'm working through with my products, is like they're pH sensitive. So below 5 or above 7.5 on the pH scale, the copper peptide bond destabilizes and it goes biologically inert. So that means that many of the commercial serums or even creams that you're buying with this peptide in it aren't actually doing much. because of their pH. So the pH has to be below, or has to be between 5.0 and 7.5. And then the penetration, right? The skin barrier resists large hydrophilic molecules, and the delivery vehicle matters. So this is the difference between a lipid carrier and others. And so there's so many things with these copper serums, right? It can't be used with vitamin C or vitamin A. Strong actives fight the copper chelation, or chelation here, sorry, chelation. So you have to separate them. Body cream specifically. Body skin is thicker and less permeable than facial skin. So a body cream is a fine delivery route, but you'd want adequate concentration and a stable, properly buffered formula to get real remodeling, not just a nice moisturizer. So for targeted anti-aging and face-focused formulas, you usually justify the cost more. This is exactly the formulation rigor behind the 4 peptide serum that I'm making for this very reason. Like I said, you have to look at the pH. You have to think about the penetration. How's it actually going to come in? And where does it layer in the average woman or man's skincare routine? This question, the body skin, I don't know. I don't know if I would ever make a body cream with it, because the skin is so much thicker and you would need so much GHK-Cu in it. You would need so much copper peptide in it to actually make a difference. And then it's going to be very expensive. Think about body creams that you use right now, right? Like if you shave your legs and you put body cream on afterwards, oh my gosh, how much are you using of that body cream? A lot, right? And so can you buy a $300, $400 body cream? I don't know if it's worth it. Like, I don't know if my calves need copper peptide. No, they don't. So as much as I can see why this might be something that somebody would want, I think the ingredient is potent and makes a bigger difference when we're using it on our face. Our face obviously ages way more than our body. So there's like way more use case there. And for things like scars and stretch marks, or maybe even cellulite. That's where I see it coming in here. I don't think a full body cream would make sense. Again, I don't think my forearms, my calves need it. Maybe a hand cream, because your hands also age and the skin on your hands is thinner. But maybe I'm wrong. I don't know. That's just my personal opinion. So I hope this helps, guys. I know like we went through all the countries that I've been to, my opinions on all of them. Let me know what you think about that. And I love to ask or answer these questions that you ask me about peptides and psilocybin and biohacks and longevity and all the things. And I'm happy to be able to provide answers and support you. If you have questions, please reach out to me on Instagram at biohackingbritney, or send me an email, info@biohackingbritney.com. Go to my website, biohackingbritney.com. You can get all my peptide sources there. You can sign up for one-on-one consults with me. You can join my community. Community is where we have uncensored discussions. I do bi-weekly calls and I do protocols for people. I answer questions. All my peptide education is in there. Lots of good things. Okay. Thank you for listening, and I will catch you next week for another episode. Bye.